My name is Ken Anderson. I am Director of Operations for Dunwoody Baptist Church and have been in that position since November 26 of 1976, and was a member of the steering committee that formed the church and got it started. And I was also chairman of the committee to find a place for the church to meet in the interim period, which I had contacted Ms. Elizabeth Davis, who was principal of Dunwoody Elementary School, and secured the building through county permission for us to use that building. And we were there from July 2nd of 1961 until March of 1964, and had a very good relationship with the county and the school principal and the teachers. But to begin the story of the beginning of the church, it was late October 1958. The pastor of Dunwoody Baptist Church resigned, and the deacon chairman had to come up with some way to fill the pulpit and keep the church moving. And his name was Willis Swansea, and was a church member as well as deacon chairman. But he contacted a retired missionary named Dr. A. Scott Patterson, and he was attending Claremont Baptist Church on Claremont Road over in Chamblee. And he asked his advice, and could he help find an interim pastor. And so after some amount of conversation, Dr. Patterson asked a architectural student who was actually just a Sunday school teacher at Claremont Baptist if he would come and fill the pulpit for Dunwoody. And after some resistance, Andy Smith came to Dunwoody for what he thought was a one Sunday service. That turned into 31 months of ministry. The first goal he set was to have a program that was evangelistic and youth oriented, and to emphasize missions, and to build up the church so it could call a full-time trained Southern Baptist pastor. During his pastorate, he had access to information from Metropolitan Planning Commission, and that was through his architectural schooling, about the expected growth in the Dunwoody area. Realizing the church property and building would not support growth, Andy contacted Dr. Patterson, who had sent him to Dunwoody, and discussed options that could take place for the people. And they agreed we needed to relocate and start anew as a mission of a possible larger church. And Andy was not sure whether people would accept this type change as long as the church had been there, but there were very few left in the congregation at that time. Andy talked to each of the deacons personally, and all agreed that this was a good plan to go for. So they carried this to the church, and it passed with a large majority in favor. The church gave Andy additional approval to contact Dr. J.T. Ford, who was pastor of Wyuka Road Baptist Church. Dr. Ford took Dunwoody's request to their missions committee and then to the church, and both approved, making way for Dunwoody Baptist Chapel. The three men on the property committee signed a contract with Centel Spruill, who owned the 18 3/4 acres at Ashford, Dunwoody, and Mount Vernon Road, which the mission had picked out as a desirable property for the new church. And this was in January of 1961. They had signed a contract which encompassed the $47,000 that was the purchase price for the property. The mission had picked out this property as desirable for the new church. And in January of 1961, those men signed a contract for $47,000 to purchase the property. The first introductory offer to the community to find out who was interested in joining with us to support this ministry wasn't held until April of that same year. And the missions began services in the elementary school, which is now the county library in Dunwoody, on July the 2nd, 1961, and moved to its first building on the new property in March of 1964.